Welcome back to National Report. Governor Andrew Cuomo's departure and the allegations brought against him might have come as a shock to some and a very little surprise to others in New York and across the country. One op-ed published by Newsweek alleges that the sexual harassment claims against the governor were kept quiet for years for political reasons. In it, it says, part quote, "Why did it take so long for this information to come out? Because Democrats saved it for when it was politically convenient. It didn't make sense to destroy Cuomo earlier. The governor served as a foil to then President Donald Trump," end quote. Joining us to discuss is the author of that op-ed, Jason Rantz, live on the program. Jason, thank you for coming on today. Break this down, what I just read out loud. You propose the fall of Andrew Cuomo was politically convenient. Can you expand on that?
Absolutely. I mean, when you have a culture of that kind of harassment in that office, clearly staff members knew. In fact, they have come forward after Joe Biden was the president. So I think part of the reason why we're seeing all of the dominoes falling at this point is he's no longer politically useful. What we saw over the course of the last year of the Trump administration during COVID, you had Andrew Cuomo being put out there as this guy who's such a good leader. He could actually step in and become president for Joe Biden. While at the same time, not only was he, according to the allegations, sexually harassing women, but of course his policies put 15,000 people to their death, throwing elderly people into nursing homes in a scandal that the administration then tried to cover up. And when you look at when all of this started to come out, when you look at the investigation and the findings, this was post January 20th. This was after Biden was elected. And at that point, you had a lot of people within New York State government saying, OK, now we can take this guy out. I want that job, Letitia James. And that's when they started to do all of this. They could have done this earlier. They clearly could have put a little bit more scrutiny, at least on the side of the nursing home scandal, but they chose not to.
Well, he was praised highly in mainstream media. Constantly welcomed on those major networks there, and then also congratulated for how he handled COVID in New York. As you point out in your piece here, you said Cuomo's name was even discussed as a possible Joe Biden replacement for the Democratic presidential ticket. At the time, Cuomo had value because the American people were clueless about his deadly nursing home policies from earlier in 2020. We've covered the scandal probably around April 2020, perhaps even March as well, once we of course, saw that executive order to do so, again, place those COVID positive patients back into nursing homes here. When it comes to what comes next for Andrew Cuomo, Jason, what are you anticipating?
Well, I anticipate he's not going anywhere. I think the way that he left office or is about to leave office, clearly still defending his actions, which, by the way, is very similar to the way Joe Biden defended his actions when he got into the personal space of a whole bunch of people who ended up complaining, and the media didn't really cover too much of that. I think he's going to try to, because he doesn't want to leave as a disgrace, he's going to try to rebuild his image. Maybe he runs for office again in the future. I mean, remember, the way that he's going out, he's saying, I'm not guilty. I'm doing this for New York State. This is the state I love, and I believe that any sort of impropriety that people are alleging, which is false, could actually hurt the state at a time where we least need it. So, I mean, clearly he's going out trying to present himself as a hero.
Investigations are underway in regards to the sexual harassment allegations within the state. And of course, we know the federal investigation into the nursing home as well. What do you anticipate perhaps these investigations could uncover? Could there be other lawmakers, other known names that could have known a little bit more about these policies at the time than we were made aware of?
I mean, sure. I mean, particularly in New York, though, keep in mind that they like to protect the people that they like to protect. And if you're on the good side of the establishment at the time, they're going to do what they can to make sure that you are not sullied by any of this. Now, I imagine that if there are any bigger names that are tied to any of these scandals, they're just going to throw it all on Andrew Cuomo because, again, they've decided that it's his time to go. They're sacrificing the governor in that regard. And I say sacrificing not because he didn't do anything wrong. He very clearly did. But I say sacrificing because to those lawmakers and to the establishment and to some folks in the media, they wanted to protect him until they didn't need to anymore. He served a purpose, then he didn't.
All right. Very interesting analysis of the whole Andrew Cuomo saga. Jason Rantz joining us live on the program. You can check out that article, read a little bit more. Jason, thank you very much. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.